Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Winter Reveal in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I refuse to cook for my wife at this point. I am 39 and male. My wife Jennifer is 37. We have been married for 8 years and we have 2 children. I work full-time and Jennifer is a stay-at-home mom. She's a wonderful mother to our children, but one thing she does not like to do is cook. This works out just fine for me as I generally get off work by 4:30 and I happen to be a phenomenal cook. My father was a chef and I've been cooking since I was 10 years old. I also worked as a line cook for several years. Virtually everyone loves my cooking. When we have company, it gets rave reviews. Our children always ask for seconds. I put a lot into it and I take pride in my cooking skills. The only person who doesn't like it is Jennifer. She complains endlessly, too salty, too much pepper. This is undercooked. She also backseat cooks a lot. While I'm in the kitchen making something, she won't shut up about what I should be doing differently. The worst part though is that she'll frequently insult my cooking and then go get garbage like a Hot Pocket or a frozen dinner from the freezer. Last Wednesday, I made Salisbury steaks with mushroom gravy, cream cheese mashed potatoes, and roasted asparagus. When I put Jennifer's plate in front of her, she made a disgusted face. She poked at her Salisbury steak for a few seconds and took the tiniest bite imaginable. She then made an exaggerated retching sound, dramatically threw her fork on her plate, and went to heat up a microwave burrito. I just snapped. I didn't say anything at the time because our children were there, but I was completely done. The next day, I made teriyaki bowls with broccoli. Jennifer sat at the table waiting for hers, and I informed her that I was done cooking for her. When she asked why, I told her it's a waste of food and that she should just go have a Hot Pocket. Jennifer is furious that I won't cook for her, and she says that instead of giving up, I should try a bit harder. I think she should just subsist on whatever microwavable slop she likes and stop complaining. Did I escalate this too much? Edit. Thank you for the comments. Unfortunately, people are sending me harassment through private messages, and many of these people come from the same community that has cross-posted this multiple times. I'm going to abandon this Reddit account, although in the unlikely scenario that I post an update, I may use it again. I'm just exhausted from reading comments about how I'm supposedly a terrible father for not making the right food for my children, and how my wife must be right about my cooking. I am no longer reading responses and messages. In the comments, a user named Quiet Riot said, "NTA, did you marry a 5-year-old? She behaved like a child. If you are not willing to do something, you don't get to complain about the people who do. In my house, whoever is cooking makes what they make and everybody else shuts the fuck up and eats it. If you honestly can't eat it for some reason, you thank the person for making the meal and then quietly and politely make yourself something." Another user named No Zookeeper said, "The retching sound and throwing of the fork deserves the cutoff without any other discussion. As you are still cooking for the kids and because your kids should know that that kind of rudeness is not acceptable and comes with reasonable consequences." Over a month later, OP posted an update. "About a month ago, I posted here about something that happened over dinner one night. My wife, Jennifer, literally retched at my cooking despite taking the tiniest bite imaginable. After that, I refused to cook for her, which made her very angry. It was a bizarre disconnect. She thought my food was trash, not fit for a compost bin, yet she demanded that I continue making it for her anyway. I was hesitant to update because, for some reason beyond my understanding, I received about a dozen hate-filled direct messages after my last post. They were all being sent from users of a parody community of this one. I have no idea what I did to make so many people upset, but a lot of people have asked me for an update, so I figured I would give one. Anyway, the last month has been really eye-opening for me. I had long ago noticed that Jennifer was highly critical of my cooking, but over this time, I've come to realize that she's critical of just about everything that I do. For example, 2 weeks ago, I was walking outside with her. I'm pigeon-toed and have been since I was a baby, although it's a lot better now. Jennifer asked why I was walking with my toes slightly pointed in, and when I explained to her that I'm pigeon-toed, she responded in an exasperated tone. "Why don't you just try walking with your feet straight?" Yes, thank you. My literal bone issue was just magically cured by your advice. I never realized that the solution to something I have suffered from for nearly 40 years was staring me right in the the face. At least now I know if I ever get cancer, I can just get rid of it by deciding not to have cancer. You see, I never really noticed how critical she is of me for virtually everything I do. She's just more forward about my cooking. For example, when she walks into my home office, she always scrunches up her face in this really displeased way. I don't think she likes the interior, which I designed, because she wants nothing but white and gray in every room in the house. Whenever I try to do the laundry, she'll hear me open the washing machine door and beeline over to back seat, drive me through the whole process. This is coming from a woman who once ruined a $1,500 suit of mine because she thought bleach would be the perfect stain remover, by the way. When I was explaining an issue I had with a colleague to her, she took my colleague's side despite her being objectively in the wrong from an industry standpoint. My wife was adamant though I must have been the one to screw things up. I'm honestly just exhausted. The criticism of my cooking was the worst, yes, but it overshadowed everything else she always found fault with. I tried to have a conversation with her and, naturally, she denied doing anything of the sort, denied ever being rude to me, and even denied retching at my food. She actually tried to gaslight me. She kept asking me questions like, "When did I do that? Tell me the date." Then she called me a hypocrite for being critical of her, hijacked the conversation, and eventually stonewalled me. I have come to realize that I don't really like my wife anymore. She's just such a negative person. It makes me sad, but in the next few days, I'm going to ask her for a divorce. She's not going to like it, but I've come to realize that when she walks into a room I'm in, I get anxious about what she's going to say to me. Thank you for all your comments. I also apologize if this was long-winded. My marriage is falling apart and I'm not in the best headspace right now. Edit, thanks for all the advice. I'm getting hate messages from that community again, and I really don't need this, as I have to deal with child custody, divorce, assets, and telling my children that mommy and daddy are going to be separating. It's a really stressful time, and they're mocking me in DMs. I'm going to stop checking my inbox on this account, so I won't be reading any more of your comments. Thank you so much for all the support. This next post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a user named Alarming Monk. The post is titled, "About a month ago, I overheard my fiance tell her friend that her previous ex was the best lover she ever had. It was quite by accident that I heard this. We had a group of friends over, and as the night went on, we all broke out into little groups. Some of us were in one room playing Texas Hold'em, and a couple of others were watching a Lord of the Rings marathon. I thought she was watching the movies, but she and one of her close friends were actually sitting in the kitchen, drinking coffee and talking. Our group had run out of soda, so I got up to go to the kitchen for drinks and a couple of snacks. As I was rounding the corner, I heard my fiance talking. Before I completely came into the room, I heard her clearly say, 'Jason is great, but he will never be the lover that Bill was.' She then followed it up with, 'It's not really fair to Jason though. Bill was just really gifted down there.' At first, I thought about just walking back to the card game and pretending we didn't have any extra soda or food, but I decided to make a noise and go in. Her friend caught sight of me rounding the corner, and I could see her make a face at my fiance, letting her know I was there. Of course, she had no idea I had heard her. She just stopped talking to her friend and asked me how I was doing and if I was having fun. I was tempted to say something like, 'I'm having as much fun as someone who isn't gifted down there can,' but I didn't. I just said yes, got my stuff, and went back to finish the night. I acted like nothing was wrong for the rest of the evening and then went to bed. Needless to say, it fucked me up. I mean, fucked me up bad. I had never been jealous or what you would call insecure about myself until that moment. I couldn't sleep that night, and I went through a myriad of emotions while lying there. First, I was angry, then I was humiliated, then I was depressed, then I was angry again. Look, I realize that the male ego seems stupid to women and even to guys who are totally self-assured. I would have agreed with most of this prior to that night, but once it has been damaged, it is a bitch. I tried to hide any emotion about it and not let her know. But as the days went on, I just got worse and worse. I was avoiding her at all costs, and while she was suspicious, she didn't really say anything. That is, until she attempted to be intimate with me a few days later, and I flat out rejected her. It wasn't a conscious decision on my part, by the way. I had made the decision on my own to just try to get over it and move on. But in the moment, instead of being sexually aroused, I felt deeply inadequate and ashamed. Nothing was happening no matter how much either of us tried. She asked me what was wrong, and I told her I must be stressed from work, but she wouldn't believe it or let it go. So, much to my humiliation, there I lay, naked in bed, unable to get an erection. I came clean and told her what I had heard. Well, this did not go over well at all. At first, she tried to tell me I had not heard her correctly, but I just repeated to her verbatim what she had told her friend. Once she couldn't deny it, she tried to apologize, and to her credit, she tried to listen to my feelings on the matter. This, I am sure, was a big turnoff for her because I was an emotional wreck. She tried to tell me what a much better person I was, how I satisfied her, and that she wanted nobody else. But all I could hear was the teacher from Charlie Brown. It's been almost a month and I have zero desire to be with her sexually. None. She is now getting frustrated about this as well, but no matter what I've tried, I just cannot get past this. It's not like she said we were both good lovers or anything like that. She clearly said he was far superior, and my guess is that being gifted down there means he was significantly larger than me. Well, I know I can do all kinds of things with my hands, tongue, and whatever else, but no matter what I do, I can't grow in size. Obviously, she refuses to talk about that with me, saying that no matter what she says, it will only make things worse because even if she says something positive about me, I won't believe her. She's most likely right. Some backstory here, he dumped her. It was not a mutual breakup, he flat out dumped her and broke her heart. I know this because she told me this early on in our relationship. She said she wasn't ready to be serious with anybody because her previous ex had left her and broken her emotionally. So this is not a case of me even being able to say, well, she's with me because she wants to be. If he hadn't dumped her, she would never have left him. Now, I have no idea if after all these years, she would leave me for him if he came back, but I don't think she would. I just don't know what to do. I can feel myself checking out of the relationship. I know this is petty as shit, but hearing the person you love tell someone else they'd prefer to have sex with them is just devastating to me. Her telling me all my other good qualities has only made it worse because she is saying things that I think appeal to her and maybe other women, but being told I am a good provider and will make a great husband makes me feel like shit. What would happen if I lost my good paying job? Or better yet, what if I were to get injured and couldn't make anything more than state assistance? Would she be there to support and help me? Basically, right now, I feel like a really good friend who she just allows to have sex with her. I know in my head that this is not correct, but in my heart, that is what I feel. I'm sorry for the length, and I don't even know what I'm asking. I am totally lost, and if this continues, I think I'm going to break off our engagement. Edit, I made this post last night, answered a couple of questions, went to bed, and then got up today and went Christmas shopping, hoping to forget my troubles. I didn't even log in until just now. I have not even started to read the 7,000 comments on this post. I don't know what anyone has said yet, but thank you all for commenting either way. I am now going to begin the massive undertaking of looking at the comments. Also, thank you for the gold and silver, kind internet strangers. Edit 2. I read all the way to the bottom of the page, thinking I had gotten through most of everything, and then at the bottom it said, load the 5,000 more posts. I'm stopping for the night. I was going to respond to people individually, but there is just no way. I haven't even started reading the direct messages sent to me yet, nor have I opened any of the 20 chat screens. There are a couple of things being said that are not accurate, and I want to clear them up. Some have suggested that she was to use a Barney Gumble phrase using sweet, sweet drunk talk. In other words, that she and her friend were drunk while talking. Nope, neither of us drinks. We don't even have alcohol in the house. Another point raised is that I am upset she told her friend. Well, this is an odd thing. Before I posted this, honestly, I wasn't that upset about this part. I was then, and still am, far more upset that this is how she feels. However, now after reading a lot of the posts, I have become somewhat aggravated that she did share this with her friend. I would never say anything about her to anyone that would put her in a lesser light. Another comment was that I am an insecure man-child who should just man up and learn to do better. Well, I'm certain the first part is true, being insecure and all, but the last part is just out of my control. No matter what I do, I will only ever be 7 inches long. We have talked about this, by the way, when she was trying to build me up. She said that I was already great with everything, but the one thing I can't control. Okay, so I gave myself about a half inch to feel better. No, I'm not gonna do anything rash. It's already been a month, so it's not like this happened last week. But yes, I have to decide what I'm going to do here before long. It's not fair to either of us if I am just coasting through this and am no longer committed. She is sorry that I heard it. She said she is sorry she said it, but at the end of the day, she would not be sorry if I hadn't caught her saying it. It is what it is. But yes, I do believe she is regretting it because she has basically been a mess since I first told her. According to her, my not wanting to be with her is bothering her a lot. I don't know how much of that I believe, but right now, I guess I don't know why she would lie. I know that it has really wreaked hell on our Christmas spirit this year. Edit 3. I'm an engineer. For those who keep asking what I do for a living, she is a paralegal. Edit 4. People have been asking about her relationship with the ex and how I know she was heartbroken. We met about 9 months after they separated. I know that ultimately he wanted to be with someone else, although she has claimed he never cheated. He just ended things so he could be with another woman. She approached me at a local workshop and we started dating. On our 4th date, when things started to get physical, she broke down crying about the ex. It was certainly weird to hold someone while they cried about someone else, but I did it. We sporadically dated for a couple more months. During that time, I never tried to cross any physical boundaries because it was obvious she wasn't over him. So while we just went on dates, I tried to keep the mindset that we were just friends because I didn't want to commit either. After close to 2 months, she dragged me from my car into her apartment and began to tell me how much she appreciated my patience with her and how she felt stupid for dragging me along for so long. Obviously, that was our first night together. Within 3 months of that, she was telling me that she loved me. So yes, for a fact, she was still hung up on her ex when we got together. I had thought/hoped she was over him before this happened. Edit 5. Okay, I posted it below in the mass of other posts, but I have also started a new post and hope the mods let it stay open. In the comments, a user named Nate2092 said, "Would love to hear what you decide to do at the end of the day." In response, user Hilarious Feast said, "Every predictor of divorce is here. Criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. I feel like the OP's resentment would just fester. Maybe they could address it, treat it, or bury it, but eventually it would rear its head again in an argument completely unrelated to anything. For example, 8 years into their marriage, they might have 2 kids, and she could say, 'Honey, can you turn off that game and take out the trash?' He would then yell back, 'Yeah, and why don't you go fuck Bill again?' A deleted user said, 'Man here. I once fucked up by saying something that made my girlfriend at the time feel self-conscious sexually. She very quickly checked out of the relationship, and I don't blame her one bit because it was my own damn fault. It's not a male ego thing. Nobody wants to feel less than. And when sex is involved, self-esteem is crucial. You can't be with someone who makes you feel unsexy, and nothing you can do can help you force yourself to ignore it. I'm sure your fiance regrets what she said, but the fact is that you're worried all the stuff she said she loves about you means she's settling for not great sex in favor of boring, nebulous stuff like will make a good husband, which in your mind is something most guys can do. You don't want to be loved in spite of your penis. Who wants that? But in my opinion, the crux of it is this. She said, Jason is great, but he'll never be the lover that Bill was, instead of, Jason will never be the lover Bill was, but he's still great. Don't waste time in this relationship. I'm not saying she's a bad person or that she doesn't deserve love. I'm just saying that both of you will be happier with other people. She is not mentally in this relationship, and now that you know this, neither are you. Don't waste a decade figuring out that you could both do better than half-assing a relationship." In an update, OP said the following: "It all came to a head last night. She came right out and asked me if I didn't love her anymore. All I could tell her was that a very large part of me still did, but what she said had made it so that another part of me just didn't anymore. This started a larger conversation that I won't bore you with, but ultimately, it came down to me saying that if I had heard he was just better at something, more attentive, or able to do something else, I would have felt like I could have worked on it. I would have listened to anything she wanted, worked on any technique, or done anything else she would have shared with me. But knowing that I was never going to measure up simply because of a physical issue was not something I thought I could get over anytime soon, if ever. I was even honest and said that if it were just a one-night stand she had or some random guy who was just huge, I might be able to get past that. But knowing that it was a guy she was still madly in love with when I met her, and that only after time did she start to come around, was just more than I could handle. She kept trying to tell me how much better I was at everything else and that I should not throw away a lifetime over one aspect. I told her that sadly, that one aspect was just too high a hurdle for me. Not all things are equal, and honestly, it's a mental failing on my part, but whether it's genetics, a learned trait, or whatever, I need to be my spouse's best, and she has already made it clear that I can never be. I tried my best to be gentle. I tried to take all of the blame, stating that I knew my attitude was probably not healthy, but it was who I am. By the way, I'm typing this as though this were a clean conversation. It wasn't. There was a lot of crying from both of us. This is not a happy ending or even a satisfying one. I am beyond fucked up in the head over the entire situation. Everyone's Christmas is ruined. We had big family gatherings that we were both supposed to attend together, and now we have to somehow break it to our families what has happened. This alone is causing me massive stress because my parents loved her. What in the hell am I gonna say is the reason why we're not together? She didn't cheat, and if I say that I felt she was still hung up on her ex, she will obviously deny it and tell them the truth. It's fucked up no matter how this goes down. In the end, I feel like a massive failure. I feel like a failure as a man for not living up to the comparison. And I feel like a failure because I wasn't able to just man up and get over it. She has begged me to go to couples counseling, and initially I said no because at the end of the day, what does it change? We can talk about every single thing, and I can try to look at things in a different way, but at the end of the day, the woman I wanted to marry told one of our friends that no matter what I do, I will never be as good as her ex. I just cannot see myself ever being okay with this 5 years from now, but because she legitimately seems heartbroken, I agreed to go. That does not mean I will keep going. Today, I moved out a lot of my stuff and I'm staying with a coworker for a few days until I can get a place for myself. She has been with her sister all day. I feel like shit. Thank you to everyone who took the time to type out a response. I have honestly tried to read everything, even if I haven't replied to many. The bitch of all of this is that I still love her. There is so much of me right now that wants to pick up the phone, call her, and beg her to come back. Edit, well, once again, I posted this and then went away for a while. I went with my friend to see Mortal Engines and then to dinner. We've been talking for a long while, so I only started reading a while ago. It is going to take me forever to read everything, and once again, I don't think responding individually will ever happen because of the large number of posts and private messages. But thank you all for reading and responding. Edit 2. I guess I want to share one thing I spoke with her about. When we were having our very long conversation, I presented her with a scenario for her to compare. I know her well enough to know that comparing body parts or sexual prowess isn't going to impact her the same way it would me. So I put the scenario to her like this. I said, what if you walked in and overheard me talking with my friend Tim and you heard this? Jill is great, but she will never understand me and comfort me the way Tiffany did. But it's not Jill's fault. Tiffany is just the smartest, most compassionate person I've ever known, and Jill just isn't as smart. Then if she were to confront me about it, my response would have been, I love you for all of your other qualities. And nobody makes a sandwich like you do, and I think long term, you won't gouge me for my money. At first, she tried to say that this was a totally different issue, but once we talked more about it, she finally agreed it was comparable because of the way we both approach and value sex. She ultimately admitted that this would really hurt her feelings, but that she would not break up with me over it. I then responded that even in my make-believe scenario, which, by the way, I would never say out loud about anyone I loved, she could still improve her level of education and learn to be more compassionate. Edit 3. If anyone even reads this, I want to add one last thing. People have been telling me what a whiny bitch I am. That's one of the kinder things they've said, because I can't get over someone else in the world having a bigger dick than me. I'm not going to lie and say I'm thrilled with it, but I'm not dumb enough to think I have a giant magic wand or anything. I had grown up believing what I now know to be a lie, that women don't care about size. Some don't, but obviously some do, and my ex is one of those who obviously did. But even with that, ultimately, I might have been able to get over it if it was just said as a matter of fact. But hearing that no matter what I did, how much I loved her, or anything else, I was never going to be as good is what has bothered me since. Yes, size is obviously a big part of it, but if I hadn't heard that I would never be the lover, I think I might have been okay. Well, not okay, but at least it wouldn't have been relationship killing. Yes, I overvalue sex, I get that. Yes, it is very important to me, and frankly, I want to be wanted as much as I want someone, if that makes any sense. Yes, I know whoever I date in the future will most likely have had someone who was bigger, better, or whatever, but I would really hope that they would not still be hung up on it a few years later. Several months later, OP gave us another update. I wasn't going to post anymore, but I am still getting daily direct messages wanting to know how things are going. I do appreciate the kind words and concern, but just so anyone who cares knows it is over. I went to counseling with her on 3 different occasions, and honestly, I tried to have an open mind about it, but at the end of the day, the obstacle was just too much to overcome. I even gave her an opportunity to walk back her statement, amend it, or do whatever she wanted with it, but instead, she doubled down in a way. I think by that time, she was very frustrated as well. Neither of us is really happy about this. It has been an absolute nightmare for me trying to avoid telling people and family why we are no longer together. Of course, I tried the old "it's none of your business" line with some of them, but that failed spectacularly. Since I refused to tell them, they decided she had cheated on me and started spreading that rumor around. I've had to do a lot of damage control over that. I have decided to continue with therapy on a personal level because, honestly, this entire thing has really messed with my head, and I have no self-esteem left at all. I've only seen her once since we separated, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. She is now, justifiably so, in the angry stage. She is furious with me and has called me everything you can imagine and even made up some new words. In the comment section, a user named Noctis said, "Best of luck moving forward." Her reaction to the situation is a big flag that you guys had systemic problems much deeper than her having an ex she enjoyed having sex with. It's good that you realized that, took steps to work through it, and then moved on when that became clear. In time, it will sting less, but this will be a lot better for you in the long run. Best of luck. As a response, a user named Dicer11 said the following. They have a difference in values, though. She might place very little weight on the words she said, even though she absolutely meant them. OP, just a future heads up. Having a talk about values and admitting to new partners how much you value being considered the best in sexual encounters will save you future headaches. Putting myself in her shoes, I could see that she doesn't want to back down from her statement or change her view of what she said, as that would be lying. But she also just might care a lot less about that statement. Both can be absolutely true, and I think the OP is failing to see that. So again, best of luck, but also try to be more upfront about your sexual values to avoid this in the future. I can see how she saw this as much less of a big deal than you did, while still caring that you saw it as a big deal. Another user by the name of Lightwave said, "Thank you for sharing. I'm so sorry for what you are going through. I applaud you for taking the time to go to counseling to figure out a way to move past this. Love doesn't cover everything, and things we say can't be taken back. I hope you continue with counseling. You might want to spend part of a session figuring out a good response for when people ask what happened. People will continue to need to know more details, and being ready with an answer will make it less stressful. Peace and healing to you." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.